Ladies and gentlemen, as we gather here today, I'd like to take a step back in time to the world of the philosopher and theologian C.S. Lewis. In his book, The Problem of Pain, Lewis wrote, "No man knows how bad he is till he has tried very hard to be good." Today we're going to examine the question of how man falls in love, with a twist how he does so with his own imperfections, and what that says about his human nature. Lewis, an expert in mythology and storytelling, knew that love is a universal human experience, one that's been portrayed and explored across cultures and civilizations. But he also recognized that love, as a concept, is far more complex and profound than our everyday understanding would suggest. In his work, Lewis often employed the metaphor of the longing, a deep, innate desire that drives humanity towards connection, meaning, and fulfillment. Love to Lewis is precisely this longing taken to the extreme, where an individual becomes willing to sacrifice their own comfort, security, and even happiness for the sake of another person. But how does this longing actually manifest? Why do we fall in love, despite our own flaws and shortcomings? It's here that Lewis offers a profound insight. Man falls in love, not despite his imperfections, but in direct proportion to his awareness of them. Think about it. When we become aware of our vulnerabilities, our shortcomings, and our very own brokenness, that's when we realize our need for another person. This is the crux of love. It's a recognition of our shared humanity, our shared weakness, and our shared longing for something more. Love, that intricate tapestry of emotions, connections, and experiences, often defies easy explanation. When we examine how man falls in love, one insightful perspective emerges: he often falls in love with his own imperfections. This idea may seem counterintuitive at first. After all, don't we typically seek out perfection in our partners? Yet, reflecting on this concept reveals a deeper truth about the human experience, relationship dynamics, and the nature of love itself. To understand this notion fully, we must first explore the nature of imperfections. Each individual carries their own set of flaws, fears, and vulnerabilities, shaping their identity and personal journey. These imperfections, rather than being points of shame, are aspects of being human. It's within these vulnerabilities that the foundations of intimacy and connection are built. When we fall in love, we often do so because we find resonance in another's struggles. The acknowledgement that we are not alone in our imperfections creates a strong bond that allows love to flourish. People frequently develop a facade, striving to project an image of strength, confidence, and perfection. Social media, societal norms, and cultural expectations further perpetuate these ideals, leading many to hide their true selves behind a mask. However, what is often missed in these portrayals is the underlying truth. Everyone possesses vulnerabilities, insecurities, and flaws that they grapple with daily. The moments of authenticity, transparency, and rawness in relationships provide fertile ground for true love to blossom. When one person exposes their imperfections, it often invites the other to do the same, creating a space where vulnerability is not only accepted but celebrated. Importantly, the act of embracing one's own imperfections is an essential part of personal growth and self-acceptance. As we journey through life, we learn to navigate our shortcomings, whether they manifest as insecurities regarding appearance, feelings of inadequacy in our professional lives, or strains in personal relationship. It is through this acceptance that we begin to love ourselves, flaws and all. When we learn to find beauty in our quirks and imperfections, we cultivate a sense of self-worth that transcends societal expectations of perfection. When we fall in love, we often find a partner who reflects this same journey of embracing imperfections. There is an inherent comfort in knowing that our loved ones have faced struggles similar to ours. This shared experience fosters deeper connections and creates a solid foundation for intimacy. Moreover, when two imperfect individuals come together, they create a safe haven for one another, where self-acceptance becomes a shared endeavor. This understanding and acceptance become transformative, allowing both partners to grow individually and as a couple. Moreover, the cultivation of empathy can only occur in the presence of recognition of shared flaws. As we become more aware of our partner's imperfections and struggles, we naturally develop empathy. This emotional understanding fosters a deeper connection, as both individuals feel seen and validated in their vulnerabilities. The result is a relationship built on mutual support, encouragement, and growth, creating a nurturing environment where unfiltered love can flourish. From a psychological viewpoint, love is often tied to shared experiences of pain and struggle. In overcoming challenges together, partners cultivate resilience in their bond. When two individuals with imperfections come together, they recognize that they can lean on each other during tough times. This understanding creates a safety net, allowing love to deepen in the face of adversity. When one partner faces a difficulty, the other often steps in to provide support, reinforcing the notion that love thrives in moments of uncertainty and challenge. Indeed, love becomes more meaningful when it acknowledges the reality of human life, complete with its highs and lows. As individuals recognize their own vulnerabilities and embrace them, they inadvertently create a rich tapestry of experiences to draw upon within a relationship. Love then becomes a journey, one of mutual discovery, acceptance, and growth amidst imperfections. Furthermore, as the connection deepens, partners may come to view each other's flaws with tenderness and affection. Rather than focusing solely on perceived shortcomings, they learn to appreciate the unique narratives that shape their partner's identity. This shift in perspective transforms imperfections from barriers to bridges, facilitating deeper intimacy and understanding. When love acknowledges the whole person, complete with strengths, flaws, and everything in between, it transcends superficial attraction, evolving into a profound and enduring connection. In romantic relationships, the acceptance of imperfections often leads to a sense of freedom. Partners can express themselves authentically, without fear of judgment or ridicule. This freedom fosters a rich environment of trust, creativity, and exploration, as both individuals feel empowered to be their true selves. The journey together becomes one of shared vulnerability, where the couple can navigate life's complexities hand in hand, knowing that their imperfections are not just accepted but cherished. Ultimately, to love and to be loved is to embrace the beautifully flawed nature of humanity. Our imperfections, rather than detracting from our essence, add depth and richness to our relationships. As men fall in love with their imperfections, they begin to cultivate a sense of empathy, vulnerability, and self-acceptance that strengthens their connections. In conclusion, the statement that man falls in love with his own imperfections invites us to rethink our understanding of love and relationships. It challenges the narrative that love is about perfection and encourages us to see the beauty in vulnerability and authenticity. At its core, love thrives in the recognition that we are all imperfect beings journeying through life together, a realization that, when embraced, can lead to profound and fulfilling connections. Love, then, becomes a celebration of our shared humanity, unearthing the richness that lies within our flaws and intricacies. Love, in its most profound and vulnerability-ridden form, is the embodiment of a courageous acknowledgement of powerlessness. This concept may seem paradoxical at first, as love is often associated with strength, resilience, and the ability to overcome any obstacle. However, it is precisely within the acknowledgement of our own limitations and vulnerabilities that love finds its truest expression. When we fall in love, we are, in essence, surrendering to the unknown, embracing the uncertainty that comes with opening ourselves up to another person, and acknowledging that we are not in control of the outcome. This surrender is a daunting prospect, as it requires us to confront our deepest fears and insecurities. We must confront the possibility of rejection, heartbreak, and the vulnerability that comes with exposing our true selves to another person. It is this willingness to be vulnerable, to put ourselves at risk of being hurt. That is the hallmark of courageous love. By acknowledging our powerlessness, we are, in effect, acknowledging that we are not the sole architects of our own destiny. We are recognizing that our lives are intertwined with those of others, and that our happiness and well-being are, to a certain extent, dependent on the actions and choices of those we love. This realization can be both liberating and terrifying. On the one hand, it frees us from the burden of having to control every aspect of our life. We no longer have to be the sole providers, the sole protectors, or the sole decision-makers. We can share the load, so to speak, and rely on others to support and care for us. On the other hand, it requires us to surrender our need for control, our need to be right, and our need to be the center of attention. We must learn to trust, to have faith, and to let go of our attachment to specific outcomes. In many ways, love is the ultimate act of humility. It requires us to recognize that we are not the center of the universe, that our needs and desires are not the only ones that matter. It requires us to put the needs of others before our own, to prioritize their happiness and well-being above our own. This is not to say that we must become martyrs or self-sacrificing saints. Rather, it means that we must learn to navigate the complex web of relationships, to find a balance between our own needs and the needs of those we love. As we navigate the complexities of love, we begin to realize that our powerlessness is not a weakness, but a strength. It is a testament to our ability to trust, to have faith, and to surrender to the unknown. It is a recognition that we are not alone, that we are part of a larger community, a larger web of relationships that transcends our individual desires and needs. This realization can be both exhilarating and terrifying, as it requires us to confront our deepest fears and insecurities. In the end, love is not about achieving some sort of mythical state of perfection or control. It is not about becoming the ultimate authority or the sole decision maker. Rather, it is about embracing our powerlessness, our vulnerability, and our interconnectedness. It is about recognizing that we are part of a larger whole, a whole that is greater than the sum of its parts. It is about surrendering to the unknown, trusting in the universe, and having faith in the power of love to transform and transcend our lives. When we acknowledge our powerlessness, we open ourselves up to the possibility of true intimacy and connection. We create space for vulnerability, for trust, and for the deepening of relationships. We recognize that love is not a destination, but a journey that requires us to be brave, to be courageous, and to be willing to take risks. We must be willing to expose ourselves, to be vulnerable, and to surrender to the unknown. This is the true nature of love, a love that is courageous, vulnerable, and willing to acknowledge its own powerlessness.